Today I'm taking a look at the 2018 Toyota Yaris, which is a subcompact car, really the entry point into the Toyota family of vehicles, starting at just about $15,000. Toyota refreshed this Yaris back in 2016 to include a much more dynamic looking exterior. You can see they've gone to the now infamous front grille, which is about 2/3 of the size of the entire front of this vehicle. I have to say I like the red paint. It certainly stands out in a sea of white and black vehicles. And on this SE trim, which is the top of the line model, you get 16-inch alloy wheels, some LED front light treatments, and a nice little lip spoiler on the rear hatchback. There's no denying that Toyota sells a ton of these vehicles. You see them on the road every single day, but on the inside, I'm not such a big fan. So before we get out there, let's hop inside and I'll show you what I mean. My number one issue with this Yaris is the seating position, which I find very uncomfortable. Now, granted, I'm 6'2" tall. Seating comfort is always a very personal issue. However, for me, the lack of adjustability in the steering column is a bit of a deal breaker. There's no telescoping function, which makes it difficult for me to get comfortable here. And the seats, I find, are hard in the wrong places and lacking support in other places. And it's been difficult for me to put a whole lot of mileage behind the wheel of this thing. So make sure you take it for an extended test drive, especially if you're on the taller side. Toyota's done a great job with the rest of this interior, where the name of the game is practicality. And as you've come to expect from Toyota, everything's pretty sensibly laid out. It's where you expect it to be. It works the way you expect it to work. There are some sacrifices. So for example, you get as standard equipment a 6.1-inch infotainment screen. However, no navigation is available and no compatibility with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. But then again, you get a rear backup camera and standard heated front seats. So you're giving up some places and you're gaining in others. On this SE trim, you do have a greater use of soft touch materials. You have a leather wrapped steering wheel, which is going to complement your multi-function features here, including standard Bluetooth connectivity. So again, it will read your text messages to you as you roll down the road. That's a nice to have. You also have a standard aux cable down here, which you can run your audio through, your Spotify or whatever you need. So overall, a reasonable interior, competitive with the segment, but manage your expectations. This is a car, after all, that starts at about just $15,000. When you buy a Toyota Yaris, you're actually getting two vehicles for the price of one. There's a Toyota Yaris under 60 kilometers per hour, and then there's a Toyota Yaris above 60 kilometers per hour. Both have their own distinct flavor. Now around town, this is a super capable vehicle that is very well suited to the urban environment. It's got heavy steering feel. You can place the front wheels really well and cram it into some impossibly tiny parking spaces. Also excellent visibility, some low door sills, a high seating position, and an aggressively raked windshield really help with your visibility, as does a standard backup camera that comes on the base Yaris. 1.5 liter, 4-cylinder engine, 106 horsepower, 103 foot-pounds of torque, mated to a 4-speed automatic transmission, which you've got to pay extra for. Surprisingly, this all works around town. Again, accelerating out of a parking lot, for example, away from a red light, not a problem in first or second gear. When we get above 60 kilometers per hour, that's when we start to run into some trouble with this drivetrain. The issue here is 106 horsepower is available at 6,000 RPM, and with only 4 gears to play with, it's constantly hunting. You're making a lot of noise dropping down a gear or two, and that noise is not matched by forward momentum in the way that you would expect. So I think this transmission is poorly suited to this application. You've got a 0 to 100 time of, I guess it doesn't really matter, and in terms of driving dynamics, not an inspiring vehicle at all. But let's not kid ourselves here. This is not a car you buy for driving dynamics. Its sole purpose in life is to provide basic A to B transportation in a reliable package for monthly payments that won't make you lose sleep. So is it practical? Definitely. Driving position aside, the Yaris provides a surprising amount of interior space. Even for someone my height, riding in the back for short periods of time wouldn't be the absolute worst. And if you opt for the hatchback, you can really maximize your storage space. Behind the rear seats, you'll get 433 liters of space, slightly small for the category, falling behind the Hyundai Accent, Nissan Versa Note, and Honda Fit. The seats do fold down flat, and in that configuration, cargo capacity obviously grows, but the Yaris still trails its main rivals.
Fuel efficiency was impressive. I wasn't far off the advertised numbers of 7.8 liters per 100 in the city and 6 on the highway. Now, to get close to those numbers, you'll really need to be frugal with your right foot, not passing about 105 to 110 on the highway. Well, this Yaris really is at home as a competent urban commuting vehicle. Great visibility, great fuel economy, a very practical little car, easy to place in narrow streets, and a sensible and pretty value-oriented list of standard features to boot. Dynamically speaking, well, that's the weak point. The transmission needs to be upgraded desperately. I'd love to see a bump in power just to make it competitive with the rest of the segment. However, Toyota sells a ton of these things. They clearly get who's buying these cars, and it's really hard to argue with that logic. Pricing for this Yaris starts at a very respectable $15,450. And for that price, you're getting some pretty nice standard features, including a rear backup camera, heated front seats, as well as Toyota's safety sensing system. Now, that doesn't include air conditioning or an automatic transmission. If those are important features for you, well, you'll have to spend a little bit more money. My demonstration model is fully loaded at $19,350. And for that extra $4,000, you are getting a more aggressive exterior look. You're getting improved interior trim pieces, including a leather-wrapped steering wheel, a better audio system, and now standard air conditioning and an automatic transmission. So what do we have here? Well, a very sensible, practical, safe vehicle, what you've come to expect from Toyota. It's not an exciting car to drive or to be around, and frankly, there's some really outdated technology under the skin. But Toyota, perhaps better than anybody, understands what their customers want, and they know that most people, well, they're not going to care about that. And judging by how many of these you see on the road, well, it looks like they're right. For Motormouth Canada, my name's Mike Gurr. Thanks for watching.